What's up, superstar? Happy Friday. I'm Coy Wire. This is CNN 10. Let's rise up. Finish this week strong. We begin today with Boeing CEO David Calhoun acknowledging that his company made a mistake after an Alaska Airlines flight had to make an emergency landing last week. That flight landed shortly after takeoff from Portland, Oregon, after a door plug for the Boeing 737 MAX 9 actually detached and left a gaping hole on the side of the plane. Fortunately, none of the 177 passengers were seriously injured. Safety inspections are currently taking place on the grounded aircraft, but as CNN's Ivan Rodriguez tells us, questions are swirling over what mistake Boeing is actually admitting to.
We're going to approach this, number one, acknowledging our mistake.
Boeing CEO David Calhoun acknowledging the company's mistake on Tuesday, following Friday's emergency landing after a panel blew out in flight in the side of a Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft. But according to top safety officials, it's not clear what that mistake is.
He stated that mistakes were made, and I'd like to understand what mistakes he's referring to.
Jennifer Homendy, chair of the NTSB, says it's imperative to find out what went wrong and why.
We know what broke. We need to understand how it broke.
A Boeing company source told CNN that Boeing believes the mistake is due to, quote, the assembly that was built up through the supply chain. This as the FAA grounded most Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft as officials investigate the cause of the detached door plug. An incident passengers on that flight won't soon forget.
It was just so scary when it happened because you just hear that loud noise and then the plane filled with wind and the masks dropped, and it was just something you don't want to be experiencing on flight.
Now let's turn to the small democratic island country of Taiwan, which will hold presidential and parliamentary elections this week. It's an election that will be closely watched around the world, particularly by its communist neighbor China, and even here in the United States. Now, there are a ton of specific details to this crucial election, so let's head straight to our correspondent in the region, Will Ripley, who explains why this matters to those outside Taiwan's borders.
On Saturday, Taiwan votes for a new president. Term limits mean the current president, Tsai Ing-wen, has to step down after 8 years in power, 2 presidential terms. There is a lot at stake in this election. It's being closely watched by the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing and by U.S. lawmakers in Washington. Beijing claims Taiwan as its own territory, despite having never controlled it. And it does not rule out the use of force to bring this island under its fold at some point. Beijing openly loathes the ruling party, the DPP, and they're framing this election as a stark choice between war and peace, prosperity and decline. From Taiwan's perspective, the election would decide whether this island will continue to prioritize its relationship with the U.S., or perhaps recalibrate that relationship and choose to mend ties with China. Given that Taiwan is the largest source of tension between China and the U.S., which happens to be the island's main international backer and arms supplier, how China responds to the result of this election will be a big test. Can Beijing and D.C. manage tensions, or will they move closer to confrontation or even conflict? Why does this matter beyond the confines of Taiwan? Well, the location, of course. It's important strategically for both China and the United States, being right there on the first island chain. Taiwan is the world's #1 manufacturer of semiconductors, those priceless chips that power all of our tech, and the supply chain disruptions for any cross-strait conflict would be catastrophic around the world. And from the U.S. perspective, Taiwan is a democracy, and this island's leaders have said that this election and this overall clash between China, the U.S., and Taiwan over democracy versus authoritarianism could actually define the future of the free world.
10-second trivia. In what year did scientists first theorize that burning fossil fuels would raise the Earth's average temperature? 1855, 1896, 1930, or 1964? If you said 1896, put your hands up. According to Scientific American, that's when a Swedish scientist first argued that burning fossil fuels such as coal could add carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, leading to a rise in Earth's average temperature. 2023 was the hottest year on record, with the latest data showing that global warming hit 1.48 degrees Celsius. We are now extremely close to the warming limit that nearly 200 countries sought to avoid when the Paris Agreement was signed in 2015. Our Bill Weir explains what this latest report means.
2023, as a lot of people felt it around the world, just was undeniable. Not only did it break previous records, the hottest year ever in 2016, shattered them, obliterated them. The most northern latitudes you can see on the map there, up in Canada, there are a good 3 and 4 degrees of warming much faster than the rest of the world, so it is not even. If we look at the global surface temperatures going back 57 years, it goes back to 1967, my birth year. This is my life and temperature graphs here. And 2023, you can see how that bar on the right is so much higher than anywhere else. Usually these records are broken by just hundredths of a degree because you're talking about so much area, so much mass, so much time. But 23 was deadly special in so many ways. And then as we look at through the year, as the temperatures bounced around that 1.5 line there, we dipped above in March, came back down. But as you can see, the temperatures around the world hit that 1.5 threshold and stayed there for most of the back end of the year, even going above 2 degrees of global warming for a couple of days in November. That has never happened before. For the first time ever, you can lay 2023's calendar over a calendar of 1850 to 1900, and every day was a full degree warmer than those before.
All right, let's end this show on a high note. Today's story getting a 10 out of 10. A singing surgeon named Aisha Ndoye singing to her patients in France because she says a soothing voice can help soothe the mind.
At this hospital in the French city of Bordeaux, patients' experience in the operating room may not be typical. Surgeon Aisha Ndoye soothes patients with singing. She started doing it as an intern in a moment of desperation.
On n'arrivait pas à endormir une patiente qui était totalement agitée et ne voulait pas se laisser ne serait-ce que perfuser. Et donc en me lavant les mains, je me suis dit que j'allais peut-être essayer quelque chose. C'est la dernière option qu'on avait, donc c'était que je chante. Donc j'ai chanté pour la patiente, donc ce qui a un peu permis de capter son attention et donc de la perfuser en même temps et de l'endormir. Et depuis, j'en ai fait un outil à part entière dans mon activité.
Aisha says that she hopes to inspire other surgeons to try her technique, as there are many benefits for both patients and doctors.
Quand on s'endort stressé, on consomme plus d'anesthésiants et du coup le fait de chanter, elle s'endort même plus apaisée et du coup elle consomme moins de drogue. Donc c'est très bénéfique pour elle. Et en plus, les chirurgiens et les anesthésistes, bon, des fois ils s'entendent pas bien, mais là du coup on s'entend bien pour travailler ensemble. Donc franchement c'est super, c'est une très très bonne ambiance.
Wow, that was beautiful. From singing to patients to singing some praises. A special shout out today to a school in a city holding a special place in my heart, Buffalo, New York. I lived and played there for 6 of my 9 years in the NFL. Look at that face and look at that hair, baby. The Bills are your AFC East champs, starting their playoff run this weekend. So we are sending a whole lot of love and positive vibes to Buffalo, New York, especially to City Honors School, rise up. We see you, Max and Miss Switowski, and thank you, Principal Dr. Cressy. And this shout out goes to Syracuse Dunbar Avoca Middle School in Syracuse, Nebraska. Keep rocking it, Rockets. All right, I'll be seeing you on Tuesday because of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend. So go on out and make someone smile this weekend. Remember, you are more powerful than you know. I'm Coy. It's been a blessing to spend this week with you, and let's go Buffalo.